what's the word I want to look for? Uh, I honestly was looking more for maybe a little bit of uptrend today. Kind of looking to see if we were going to be moving, maybe hitting maybe some higher time from SMAs before we do sell off. We've got a pretty big week this week, kind of going into the end of the month, and so I just I was expecting it to go up first, more so, right, and then drop. But I mean, kind of into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So it's just interesting to see how they're kind of planning things. And so yeah, I was kind of shocked. I mean, we were heavy. I'm definitely, like I said, I'm bearish right now, but I'm definitely looking forward just kind of it to shoot up first, then come down. So we went up yesterday a little, nothing extravagant, but today we're definitely retracing back into these areas.
I think it's one thing to say you're bearish, but I want you to maybe give a rundown of why you feel that way.
Oh
What do
yeah,
you see
yeah,
on the charts?
yeah. So actually, you know what? That's great. I'm gonna first run over the crypto stuff here real quick, and then we will jump right into that. Is that fair?
Yeah, no, sounds great. Go
Okay,
for
okay.
it.
Yeah, so we right now we're sitting at Bitcoin at 19,000, sitting at around that 19,800, 20,000 mark. As you guys can see here, that we are down 1.7%. Ethereum is in at 15,000. It's showing a little bit more strength at 0.82.
Fifteen
Up.
thousand. That thing
Oh,
freaking
excuse me.
10x
Whoa.
overnight, buddy. Good news, Pedro. You're sitting over there bearish. Come on, man.
Thank you. I meant that we are sitting at 1500, 1523, and we're up 0.8 percent. So yeah, not 8, not 15,000. BNB sitting at the 281 mark, and we're sitting at point, and we're down 0.45, almost 0.5% down for the day. XRP sitting at 0.32, down almost 1%. Cardano ADA sitting at 44 cents, down almost 50 or 0.50%. Um, in addition to the Solana, which is $31, sitting at 1.48% down. Dogecoin sitting at 0.06 cents, and it is down 2.35% for the day. Polkadot is sitting at $7, and we are down 2.4% for the day. When it comes to Polygon Matic, it is 0.7992, down almost 1%. We have Shiba Inu, a lot of people's favorite meme coin, 0.000012, still sitting at that 1200 mark, down 1% for the day. And Tron is sitting at 0.065. It is up 4%. And Avalanche is up, or Avalanche is $19, sitting at 1% down for the day. So, or excuse me, 1% up, 1.5% up for the day. So it's interesting to see the market. It's weird because Tron is such a contrarian sometimes that it was like when at the beginning of the bull market we started dropping. So it was really crazy. Now let's jump into the charts here real quick because it's real quick. The reason why I'm bearish in regards to I was looking at BNB today, to the S&P 500, is because we have certain setups kind of going on right now within the broad market of the S&P 500, and they are looking to drop it. Now we have a weekly zone here that we've been talking about here for a while, waiting to see where we're going to sit, right? Are we going to bounce off this, or is it going to cut through this, right? We do have a nice little bounce off of it so far, but and I think in the short, long term, this thing is going to probably go down through this just because of, well, there's a lot of economics reasons why I'm really bearish on the S&P 500. But the primary one is just the charts are telling me majority of the moving averages are literally above price, and more importantly, we are seeing demand zones aren't holding as strong. So that's really why I'm bearish more than anything. And then when we go to look at Bitcoin, we're really following Bitcoin's SMA sitting right in this area here. So that's why I sit there and I go, you know what? This is definitely that 8 moving average is still in control and pushing down the market. Here we had a little bit of up rally up into the 8 yesterday during the analysis. I talked about play the market up into the 8 moving average and then be ready to sell off because this is going to be a short-term rally up. I have the broken lines here, which means that this is a weak area. This is part of my own analysis. Let me know that this is a weekly and daily zone. I also want to make sure it is yeah, it is a weekly zone, but this weekly zone is also a weak zone overall. So that's why when you ever see me with broken things like with green and red, it means it's just a weak zone. And so for me, I'm sitting there going, it might see rally up, and sometimes these things will rally up to previous um, highs and then sell off against them. Sometimes you'll see a little, like we see here, a little pop up, and then we see a sell off. So those little things are something just to be paying attention to, right? And then we got this area down in here. This is really where I'm looking for the market to go down into, this 17.6, 17.4 area. So just a quick little recap. Just to show
Pedro,
you.
I think I may have just found confirmation, actually, even though I'm definitely more of a crypto bull here. But I think I found confirmation for you in the news.
Talk to me, Goose. Crypto, you there? Mikey, you there?
I am hearing me, Pedro.
Yep, I can hear you now. Yes, sir.
I was saying, I don't know if you heard everything I said, but I found some confirmation for your analysis in the news. If you heard it or not, Jim Cramer has a quote saying the stock markets could end the year on a solid note. So we are confirmed we're going lower. All right.
Oh man, that is good.
If anybody doesn't listen to the show a lot, Pedro loves to analyze the opposite of what Cramer says, and there's a lot of sites out there you can Google to do the opposite of what is being said publicly by Cramer. But I personally enjoy listening to Cramer. But it's in the news right now, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is interesting. Oh, I love him. He's good. And listen, but here's the thing. A lot of newbies follow him. And, I'll put it like, you have a Cramer effect. The Cramer effect is basically a 2-week lived situation where you go in, he has a mass of people who follow him. They'll buy a stock or sell a stock, right? And it might go down for 2 weeks, a week or two, and then, or go up a week or two, and then you'll see it do the opposite. And so if people understand that, right? People do understand that. So you can play his calls for about 2 weeks, a week to 2 weeks, and then you make money. And listen, and Mr. Jim Cramer, I respect you. If ever you watch these, man, I want to say I respect you. I think you are a genius of a man of how you've set things up and created your industry. You do allow yourself to be able to get in and get out of trades. And that's how he's been able to do it. So it's just,
yeah, and I'll throw in a comment too. If we're gonna pretend that Cramer's listening in, I would say bring back Kudlow and Cramer. That's what I want to say. So bring it back. Great program.
Who knows, man? It might grow to a day where we're sending in millions of people. I mean, we don't know, right? It's always one of those things.
100%. 100%. So
you never know how things grow.
Great analysis. And looking at that weekly chart, actually, Pedro, I see what you're saying. We'll see. It's going to have to bounce. You're right. We'll see if it does or not.
Yeah, we'll see it. We are hitting some areas on the short time, on the 8-hour, in this area here on the S&P 500. So we're going to see if it holds. I have on one of my trades that I'm taking right now. There is let's see if I can get to it. Let's see if it'll let me play it. I have.
So what is your position?
Oh, I'm long here. I shorted the market open, and then and then I caught the so I'll show you here. This is a 4-hour zone right here that I'm playing. So I caught it basically from sitting about right here from the open. Let me see where I got it. It was a pretty easy open. We were underneath all the SMAs, and then the catalyst was pretty much there, so it pushed it down. I got in right 40 or 23, and then so that's sitting about right here, 23 here. I caught it to about right here, where my zone is sitting right here. And this is my my inner day zone that I was looking at to see. This was my target. That's the best way of putting it. This was my target. So I am long from here up. I did take my first what do you call it? My first position already. So my risk is off, and it's a free trade. I made a couple bucks, put it in my pocket, and seeing if it continues up. If it does, great. I really don't care. But I just more or less wanted to capture my zone that I had right here. So
hey, excellent, man. Yeah, good for you, buddy. Good for you. Yeah, we'll see what happens throughout the day. I've been pretty busy this morning, so I haven't been able to track it all closely as I normally do. But yeah, a little pullback would be nice, I guess, right? Or pull back up.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Well, we'll see. I'm not saying to pull back up. So my biggest thing, as we all say, I always like to see them buyers and seller wicks coming in and coming out. And unfortunately, as we can see here, there is no really long buyer wicks, right? So I doubt if this will continue up, but I did go long in my area here just to capture some money here, and then see what happens. So we'll find out.
Looking at that setup there, yeah, looks like honestly a great analysis. It looks, I mean, you have it lined up there. You got your lines on there correctly for heck of a move right there. So good for you, man.
We'll see we'll see. A lot of times 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, the market will turn around. So we'll find out what it decides it wants to do. Now, news-wise, how we doing out there? I mean, what's going on in this world in regards to crypto? It was interesting what Eminem did. That was a pretty big deal. A lot of people were really talking about that. As I was I'm scamming through the news, as I was skimming through the news.
Yeah, no, and that's what I was saying yesterday. There's no doubt that bringing the crypto culture into the the social norms is a big step in getting people more and more comfortable with it. For all those people that saw that, if they don't know about the Bored Ape Yacht Club or NFTs in general, it definitely was one of those moments that brought awareness. And I bet you years from now, for their a younger generation, there'll be some that mention that some of their first exposure was at the VMAs when they saw their these performers do it. It's definitely one of those moves. I mean, if you think of any traditional marketing from corporations, if they want to introduce their products to the public, you're going to use these large format settings either through, commercial breaks or product placement within the actual programs. And that's essentially what was done here is a product placement within their program. So it is by design going to create awareness for the NFTs and that specific, niche right there that was put out there for everyone to see.
That's nice. I think that's actually, I just saw this thing here for the news. I just heard, I think you're right. The idea of going through and getting the name out, right? If you just get the name out, people's curiosity just takes over. It's one of those things. I think, by nature, I think humans are just naturally, they want to look at things, they want to check things out, and just simply just putting it in front of them really helps them out. Just kind of, just going to go look at things. So we'll see. We'll find out what happens. But I think you're right. I think you are right. Many kids who aren't even understanding went and saw that and were just like, Whoa. I mean, how many kids actually watch MTV now?
It's probably a good question, but I guarantee you there was pretty good viewership at the VMAs as it's heavily marketed and still within, the celebrity culture there. So I would imagine viewership was, I don't know if it's up or down from previous years, but I'm sure it's still a large number of people. And then even more as it captures and goes out on the social media. I don't personally watch the VMAs, but I guess I did get to see it as it made it into the crypto sphere here. So I imagine it's been shared out pretty widely and will continue to be, especially by all the crypto enthusiasts that will be sharing it with all of their friends and family through their social media accounts to validate what they do every day. So,
Yeah.
but what news were you looking at a second ago that you were commenting on?
Oh, Australia, or Crypto.com Australia. Cental accidentally BUSD, I believe. Unfortunately, my computer is having some little bit of issues here. Yeah, that's what it is. Crypto.com mistakenly wired its Australian users USD $10.5 million worth. So if you're in Australia, congratulations, you came up a little today. Crypto.com shouting them out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I was reading that. I think it might have been to one person. They sent her 10 million instead of $100. So, last I heard, she was on the run and not coming back. So, good for her. She's got a new life she's starting in a more friendly nation to that kind of thing. So, we definitely wish her well here.
I would. Would you? I mean, if you were in that position, would you return? How would you handle that?
I would. I'm an honest person, Pedro. I have a family, kids. I mean, in this world, I only want what's mine, what I can earn, what I can get. And, I ran a business for, a long time. And at the end of the day, those assets did not belong to that person. It was a mistake. I would argue if she sent them $10 million and they only credited her 100, that she would definitely expect her money back. So, but I understand your point. I mean, if you had no cares in the world and nothing to do, would you run with it? I don't know. I still say no, but I know there's a lot of people who would probably say yes. So, but that's the nature of the world right there. So, but yeah, pretty big blunder there. I wonder who did that. I'm sure they are hiring for that position. Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody definitely lost the job there.
That is crazy. Now, there's also in the news today, if you saw or not, the FBI has issued a DeFi security warning, saying I think $2.4 billion has been stolen. I think they're estimating since the inception of DeFi. So pretty interesting to see some security alerts out there. Definitely more. It'll probably lead to more enforcement now that that bulletin's out there, and they've directed people to contact their local FBI field offices. So I think that's generally a positive thing. And the scammers in the space just destroy it. I mean, they destroy it for, if anybody's been in the DeFi space, you go back a couple years, projects could launch and 100Xs were everywhere you looked. But now everyone's so damn scared. You buy into a project, you might have 5 or 10 minutes before it turns into a honeypot. So if you get a quick 2 or 3X, what are you going to do? Sit there and hope you're going to be a billionaire, or pull your money out real quick? So if it is a legit project, it hurts the legit projects because people are pulling their money out, not knowing if it's going to rug or honeypot on them. And then obviously for the ones that are full scams, some people lose the entirety of their money. So, but pretty interesting to see that they're taking a little more overt step out into a public relations campaign on it. So we'll see where that goes. Just kind of have to stay tuned on that.
I would agree with that. I think wasn't it New York who also had issued I believe it was New York that issued a statement saying if you'd been taken advantage by a crypto project or some type of honeypot, that they were going to be looking into it and actually and see if they can help get your money back, right? Through whatever extradition or however they would set things up. I don't even know how you would, because many of these are in, you know, third world countries. A lot of these are being set up from people who really just don't know what they're doing, right? But there are some of them that do, like Shiba Inu, right? Or Dogecoin, right? That the community is the one who really picked up Dogecoin and also Shiba Inu. It was the community, right? So something that could turn into a honeypot or a just dropping, where liquidity was pulled, where it was rugged. Those, you never know, right? Like you never know. Look at SafeMoon, right? SafeMoon hit into the billions of dollars, right? And in doing that, I mean, this is what blows me away about them: billions of dollars, and they were rugged twice, right? So it's just interesting. I think it's very interesting in our market and what it is. I mean, if a stock did that, there would be no, like, Enron,
A lot of it comes down to leadership, Pedro, and having the correct leaders of your projects. And I think when you look at just trying to make good investment decisions, you have to look at all the relevant things. Is liquidity locked? Is there an audit checking that? But also, who are the dev teams? Are they responsible people, professional people, people that you generally trust? And within some of these projects, I've seen some of the videos on SafeMoon and all that. It really, to me, just seems like it was just a leadership issue, essentially, where had the project been run by a Fortune 500 CEO or someone of that caliber, then it wouldn't have happened like that. They wouldn't have taken the opportunity to skim from the project, which is the allegations that were made about the project. So I'm not here to say this or that about any specific project without knowing full certainty, but that's what I see it coming down to, is just the leadership. I mean, do you have the correct leaders in place that know how to run a project and have the responsibility to ensure that investors' funds are safe, even if the projects don't end up successful? That is what happens in business. As anybody in any town or city in the world knows, that businesses open and close. That does happen, and it will happen in crypto, but that is different than scamming people and having it shut down. So, that's what I would say about that right there.
Leadership is literally the factor that will either cause something to rise or fall. Leadership is, I believe, 99.9%. I think I was reading John Maxwell, and I read the 21 Irrefutable Laws yearly, right? Just kind of go through it, and I don't know how many times I've read it. Like it's a great book. And he talks about how many times, new CEOs will come in and just fire everybody and everything, right? And then you have to reapply and things like that. But one of the things that he does, or they mention, is that he says that when that happens, these companies will start to do a lot better and get better when they go through and they really analyze the leadership. If you analyze the leadership and make sure that the leadership is well, everything will prosper. It doesn't matter, even if it's a bad company. I mean, the leadership they'll change the things that needs to be done. So it's very interesting, I think. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
No, 100%. And that's what you need a lot of times is, a reshuffle, especially if you're bringing in new leadership to ensure that A, it's going a direction they want, but B, you shake out any loose links that are in there. So, I think that's a necessary component and definitely an important piece of it right there. So, Pedro, just a heads up, and I apologize. I am only going to be able to say a couple more minutes for today's show. I have a couple things coming. You can check the private chat in there if you haven't. But I do want to say that I look forward to rolling this program out into a full podcast that we can distribute out. And I can tell everyone, if you're listening in, that we do have some pretty big plans for what we intend on doing with that to both benefit, the people that are listening in, as well as, try to find some innovative ways to help some of the projects we work on and do different things. So I just wanted to touch base on that and apologize for having to leave early, but I'm up against this constraint right here, and there's nothing I can do about that. So
I'll put it like this. If anybody could create a charger, listen, one of these things right here. I can tell you, I have 3 of them always on backup. When one goes down, I have another one. Like I literally have 3 of them always.
Look,
so when
words of wisdom, and I appreciate that. I can assure you, for tomorrow's program, we will be prepared for all contingencies here, Pedro. All right?
No. I'm not. I'm not. What I'm saying though is this: is that if we have listeners out there, or if down the road we have listeners who can create a charger that is really good, I mean, I will listen for free. We will put your name out there and get that business up and running. I think one of the most frustrating things is those chargers. I can't tell you how much money I spend a year. And I pay, I used to buy the expensive ones that were $40, $50, right? And they didn't last as well. I'm just like,
yeah, I usually buy the cheaper ones because I feel they last all about the same. So you're giving confirmation to that a little bit right there. Yeah. Now, I will tell you not to devolve into the whole thing, but I don't know if you followed all the news out of Europe that they're going to mandate all cell phone companies to use the same chargers. Pretty contentious issue for companies. Obviously, as they're trying to develop proprietary technologies and things within their own devices. But I know Apple specifically was not that happy with it. But if you're not following any of that, I mean, that's been ongoing for a while now. Although, obviously, if you're not European and, it's kind of just lost in the mix of other international news. But it'd be interesting to see how that happens. And I think to myself, we are thankful to have some governments around the world that really dive in on the very important things, such as forcing, companies to use the same chargers for whatever reason you want to justify. I'm baffled by what the full reasons are, although I think some of them were even mentioned to be environmental waste or something like that, which I think you could tackle in a few better ways than forcing companies to use the same charger. But if you are interested in that, do your own research and enjoy it.
I'd almost say,
Pedro, tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
No, I was saying, I mean, if anything, you could just give them a tax break, right? Like just say, hey, if you do that, we'll give you a tax break. Like be smart and create a good one. I remember one time I went into the store, I bought one, right? It didn't work. So I said, oh, shoot, because I plugged it in my car. Always before, I'll plug it into my car, get it, see if it works, right? And then I'm like, okay, we're good. That didn't work. So I go back in, I exchange it. I go back to my car, plug it in, boom, still doesn't work. Then I go back in a third time to see if I can find another one. So, dude, like almost all of them didn't work. And the guy goes, I don't even know what to tell you, man. And I sit there. And so I said to him, give it to somebody else. See if somebody else will do it. See, maybe it might be mine, right? And the guy who was behind me was like, I'll try it, man. And so he goes and he puts it on. He goes, yeah, dude, it don't work. I started laughing, dude. I started going like, whatever you going, it's life. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, you can just create a good product.
Hey, listen,
it's not that hard.
I can tell that I think I've reached the end point here for my device right now. I'm really sorry, Pedro, and everyone out there, but I do look forward to growing our platform here and delivering quality information. I will talk to you later, Pedro. I hope you have a great day, and thanks for having me on, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Definitely. Thanks, Mike. As you guys know, so let's go into some more stuff here. So I want to bring up also, so over 200 people arrested in China, linked with its banking scandal. Now, if you're not familiar with, give me one. pardon me. China is having some major issues in regards with Evergrande and a couple other things, but I want to check this out because this was an interesting article as I was reading. Okay, so China has surely been making noise for a lot of reasons. While it continues to exert its hostility towards crypto industry, banks in the region weren't doing any good. Recently, the citizens of the country were hit with one of the biggest banking scandals. Due to this, 4 rural banks in the Henan province were forced to freeze all deposits back in April. Following this, a multitude of individuals across the country protested, and some of them even turned violent. This is crazy because we know that China has a very heavy hand, and their culture is very, it's a communist country. So it's always about the group. They want to keep peace within the group, and I have a couple friends of mine who've actually lived over there and enjoyed it because like we all have that one guy at a party or a couple guys at the party who are just like the contrarians. Well, contrarians within China just aren't really accepted. They're not really liked. You go to a party, you're not going to have those guys majority of the time. Everything's going to be cohesive and everybody's going to be like connecting like Rama Lama Lama, the ding 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 dong, like whoop whoop, like we come together, right? Type of thing. And so it's just a different mindset in comparison to, let's say, America, where individuality is celebrated, whereas in China the group is celebrated, right? Like the group accomplishes stuff, right? So it's just a different type of mindset. So this is why I think they hit so hard on like individuals stepping out. Now whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I personally, because I come from America and I feel like individuality is so important and my personal freedoms are important to me, that I feel like that is oppressive, but I'm also not from China and I don't know how China really works, right? And I've had, like I said, a few friends of mine who did like living there, but they had to leave and, for whatever reason, what's going on here with, just a few things, right? They bounce. But I say that because this is just interesting to sit there and see that there's actually riots breaking out, so it's kind of crazy. So let's go ahead and keep reading here. Due to this, following this, a multitude of individuals across the country protested, and some of them even turned violent. While the local authorities affirmed that affected customers would be repaid, the latest news would bring more respite to the victims. Earlier today, it was brought to light that the police in Shengsheng, I think that's a Shechong city of Henan province, had arrested over 234 suspects involved with this scam. Just in China, police arrested over 200 people linked to one of the country's largest banking scandals ever. As per the China law enforcement, a criminal gang that was overseen by level Yi took Lu Ying took control of the enforcement bank, or a fomentation bank, in order to lure in investors and funds. They went on their offer rates as high. They went to offer rates as high as 18%. It was revealed that the funds brought into the bank amounted to as high as 6.8 billion or 40 billion in yuan. Wow, that's a big deal. Following this arrest, local authorities have been working towards recovering the funds that were lost. It should be noted that back in July, authorities in China had been repaying its customers. However, they started with those who had deposited less than $7,000 or 7227 or 50,000 yuan in the banks. Will this banking fraud direct China towards crypto? We'll find out. scams like this one shows how the innocent can be exploited within traditional finance. The cryptoverse was started for the average Joe with the intention to bring in more financial freedom. However, China has been hostile towards the industry. Despite the government's attempt to repay the victims, those with 500,000 yuan would be paid only 500,000 yuan. Okay, would be paid only. The rest would be repaid following the recovery of the funds. Speaking to South China Morning Post, a woman who had been deposited, I can't even read that, man. A woman who had been deposed. I apologize. There we go. A woman who had, I thought it said deposed. A woman who had deposited a whopping 1.11 million yuan, roughly 161,000, revealed that she hadn't even started the application process, as she wouldn't be able to retrieve all her funds she added. So that kind of stinks, right, on her part. So that I just think that's really interesting. That it would help China. I mean, just with a lot of, I think it would help the overall market at large. I mean, I think it's just so important to be able to gauge what is actually going on, and also, just what we're seeing here in the market. Here we go. Also, watch. Another one I want to point out, and this is actually real interesting, is that August 28th, the VMA, which we mentioned yesterday, right? Eminem isn't necessarily being applauded for what they're doing, which is actually kind of blown me away by the crypto community. It's almost like they're trying to garner fans in regards to this. So there is a uproar within the crypto community and kind of mad with Eminem. So I just find that really, really interesting. So that's one thing that I thought that was from a pop culture perspective, where like you would think that, and also I'm finding this as well, right? Like a lot of people are becoming, anti, celebrity endorsement within crypto, right? We saw this really big towards the end of our bull market, right? This last bull market, where people were like, they're coming out. I think it was Mike Tyson who a couple of these cryptos, he told people, yeah, it's great, and then they turned into either honeypots or rug pulls. So it's been really interesting to see all of this that's actually going on. So I just think that's very interesting what we're seeing right now with that. Also, when it comes to some stuff that's actually going on. Oh dang it, my computer wanted to do its own thing. Now give me 1 second here, guys. There it is. Boom. I want to pull up this CoinDesk thing that just came out. So it's basically, this is the CoinDesk. This actually came out about 17 minutes, just popped up here. Private lives versus public ledgers, right? How is crypto challenging the norms of what is permissible in the financial system and society? And I bring this up because I was listening to, I think it was Bankless. It was a couple weeks. I don't even think it was a couple weeks. I think maybe it was last week. They had been talking about basically and this correlates with China, and how governments are so apt to like not want to accept, unless you're South America is becoming more acceptance of crypto, and a lot of talent is being built out in literally South America. And so it's really interesting. There's a lot of stuff in Africa as well, where people are really starting to use crypto, right? There's another crypto city that's actually trying to be built out in Africa. But I say this because besides maybe second and third world countries, the first world countries their governments are they're almost in a sense a little bit of resistant to this, right? Just because it flies in the face of what they've had as an established for years. Whether a lot of the elites, they're the elites. They have a ton of money. They do very well for themselves, and so when crypto's coming in, it's going to challenge everything that they've established. So what I find though is the individuals, like people like us who believe in DeFi, who believe in even central exchanges, right? These are ways that even though they're like banks, they're still dealing with crypto, and it still gives people the opportunity to get ahead, right? But more so, DeFi, I think, also has more of that push that allows people to get ahead on a larger level. And the reason why I bring this up is because I think as this next bull run, we're in this roll, or we're in this bear run right now, and it's correlated with the stock market, right? The world stock market. We're seeing some stuff going on. I want to pull this up as well. Give me 1 second. This is the street. If you guys want to pop and watch Jim Cramer talk about how they're able to manipulate the market. This is what you put in. These are the keywords. The street, which is the guy who's interviewing, it was their organization. Jim Cramer manipulation. Then you'll see it right there and it pops up. But I want to show you here real quick. We can look at the world. Stock market charts. Here we are. So even the world, we can see the world at large here and what's actually going on. And so we can see here that we're actually having a little turnover here. Come on, here we go. Here. I was looking at this. Here we are, full chart. You can see that we are, as a world, having a little turnaround. Now, China, I want to bring this up. China's yuan is getting stronger. We base our dollar off of the euro. When we say it's getting stronger, right? What are we getting stronger against? Well, we're getting stronger against the Japan's dollar, as well as dollar. It's funny. What is Japan? It's not yuan. It's yuan. Look at me. I'm forgetting what it is. Or was it yang? Forgive me. For whatever reason, my brain is not one of them. If somebody wants to throw it in the comment section, because I sound like an idiot here, but basically we get our peg against the euro, and we get our peg against China, or not China, excuse me, against Japan. And so when we're fighting that's why we're saying we're going down, because theirs is going down, theirs is going down and ours is going up. But when you actually look at China's dollar, it is doing very well. It is slowly getting stronger and stable. And so many people believe in 10 to 15 years that China will be the the world's currency, because of what's going on with the world. The idea as well is that what's fighting, like, most people don't realize this, that Russia supplies Europe with oil, right? And when America sanctioned against Russia and said don't buy any of their stuff, well, Europe and even some stuff that's going on in Africa, they buy Russia's oil. They need that oil for their industries to run, for other things to go on. And then, so you have this little, I really think that World War III is being set up as we speak, right? And so the market that I'm looking at, and I know this is kind of one big, I promise you, I'll wrap this up here real quick. I know it sounds crazy. Here we are, max, and this is monthly. Yeah, this is a monthly chart. Here we go. And this is important to understand, is that we are seeing a different type of world. People are equating this to the 1970s, with interest rates going up, and you're going to have these things kind of going back and forth. And then we're going to see a huge rally within the U.S. market, right? I want to put in that we are not in the 1970s. It is a completely different market. It is so complicated in comparison to 1970. I believe in the 1970s, I believe we had 80% of the market, it's 80% of the world's goods, America was buying them into the 80s, into the 90s. Now, during that time period, China has basically pulled up, I think it's 100, it's 100 or 300 million people. I think it's 300 million people, forgive me, from abject poverty to middle class. And this is important to understand because what made America strong is that we bought everybody's world's goods. Okay. And so that gave us power to do a bunch of things. China has now raised up a bunch of people out of poverty, and now they're really strong. So, or they're getting very strong as a purchasing power. And so it's just a matter of time. And people may not want to hear this, but these are things that for us to look at, because when we're looking at the market and crypto, this stuff correlates to a very interesting setup. China's system, or China is out there getting their people to buy stuff. They're becoming more consumerism driven, right? And so as they keep buying stuff and we keep seeing them push through their economy with Evergrande and the whole debacle with the real estate industry with theirs, there's a lot of people having major issues with that. And so it's going to be really interesting to see it. Are they going to keep communism or are they not? Are they going to be able to keep that mindset with people? So it's something that I'm definitely paying attention to. Crypto's involved here because as the world currency, and we have the petrodollar staying strong right now, which is the US dollar, but it's people have to buy and sell oil in USD, or excuse me, not USD, US dollars. And so the US dollars then it's you have to purchase dollars to buy oil, and then from buying oil you then go through and you then sell off those dollars to buy crude oil. When we went through and put these sanctions with Russia, we went through and and now we're almost in this fight because of Taiwan with China. There's some big differences that's happening, and so America is losing a lot of power in the world, and it's bringing this instability, right? And so I believe crypto over the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years will become a world need, because there's so much shadiness going in that to be able to sit there and say the ledger says this, we see that this purchase happened, boom, boom, boom. You're not going to have to worry about a lot of the things, and you'll be able to track through nodes and where people are, how to be able to find them in regards to, and if that person buys that wallet, or if that person gets the money from the wallet, you can track them and be able to see wherever they're at, right? We've seen that now a couple times with some of the hacks that they were able to find, right? So I say that because let's look at the chart here on a turn down or a turnaround for the markets. Give me 1 second. I need to put this in settings, tools. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna see if I can pull this up and there we are. I normally look at this on my other charts when I look at it, so I haven't put it on here, but I wanted to bring this up because here we are. This is where I want to bring up. So it's following pretty strong. You'll see here the S&P 500, right? Because we're the strongest. Now let's look at China's system. So this is us here, right, on the monthly basis. Now we look at the world. And if you're asking, why does this matter? This matters because for crypto, because as we start to see these things start to now diverge, we're looking for divergence within the market and crypto. Okay. And so yesterday we actually saw a divergence. Whereas, crypto went up a little or went up quite a bit, at least when it comes to like Ethereum and other things versus the stock market. So I'm looking for these small subtleties as I'm looking at it. And this has to do with what we were talking about with China, talking about the acceptance of the governments. And it's also to do with kind of like the money scandal that happened in China. And the reason why China's become a stronger world power. They have a 30-year time high frame, right? They're talking about, by 2050 that they want to be completely like completely green, which is crazy, right? If America was able to say we want to be completely green in 30, 40 years, or I'm not 30, 40 years, but in 30 years, yeah, by 2050, that is something that I think is really crazy. So we're gonna pop in here real quick so I can sit there. Excuse me real quick. So here we go real quick. I apologize. So let's check this out. And this is important to look at. So this is us, or this is the world. As we can see here, this is us, right? You can see how we're pretty correlated with this. Now let's look at China. They're down. You can see here that they're down. This is all because of COVID and everything that happened there. But you can see here that on a monthly chart, they're having a green chart. Okay, they're green here. They also have they're having buyer weight step in over and I want you to pay attention. They have a bunch of buyers coming in. These are buyers buying into their economy. Now, I don't think you can buy directly into their economy, right? Like you can't buy, I don't think you can buy their stock. You actually have to be a part of their country. But there's proxy ways to be able to do it and other funds to be able to do that and be able to track you, right? So it's very interesting. There's also other companies that actually are kind of makeshift that actually do certain things. So there's ways to get into it, but I want to point this out because they're showing strength here. They pierced the 8, right? They did sell off, but now it's showing it's showing a little strong. It's showing some strength, not a lot of strength. In comparison, though, to us and the world, which we're at the peak here. So you see an inverse relationship where we're starting to go down, whereas their system is starting to go up. So it's going to be very interesting to sit there and see this. I believe during this time period of if it does transition, crypto very much could be becoming a very strong alternative. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other coins out there will become a strong alternative to the rest of the world, right? That don't necessarily want to deal with China. So it's just going to be really interesting to see. Now, granted, this is crazy stuff. This is stuff that I'm saying. I get it. Like, it sounds crazy, but it's what I'm looking at. Like, us looking at looking at gold, right? Gold, even though it still holds a value that's good, it should be up higher. We should see gold at these levels. So it's just weird not to see. I think we should be seeing gold at the 28,000 or the 2,800 mark, even 3,000 mark. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest. This is honestly where I think, but somehow it's being suppressed. Also, to add into that, much of our resistors, microchips, a lot of things that we use for computers, there's a lot of gold that is used into it. So it would actually really push up the price of creating those if gold went up. So maybe it's being held artificially, as well as silver, right? Silver similar to this, right? Like we're seeing a similar move. I never bring this up, but this was so you guys can see that I have a demand zone sitting here. I've been waiting kind of to come through and purchase certain aspects on silver. These are my kind of waiting points. So this right here on a higher time frame, I see is coming down to here. I think we probably will push through this area on silver, that 1700 mark here, or not 1700, but $17, like 17.50 to that $17 mark. I'm really I'll probably start to put in my position at this level, but then go, oh shoot, I forgot to put in this. Give me 1 second. Let me go ahead and put the disclaimer here real quick. The disclaimer, there is no investment advice. The information provided in this video and website and live stream does not constitute as investment advice, financial advice, trading advice, or any sort of advice. Any sort of advice, and should not treat any of the video and website content as such. I, Moonrock, and guests do not recommend that any cryptocurrencies or any other assets that are mentioned should be bought, sold, or held by the viewer or listener. Do conduct your own due diligence and consult your financial advisor before making any investment decisions. I am not a financial advisor, and this content is only meant for entertainment purposes. Please consult a tax professional on any gains or losses as a result of investment into crypto or any assets invested in. This is not financial advice, but it is for entertainment and social educational purposes. Apologize about that. So let's go and jump right back into this. So we're definitely seeing the market come down into this level on silver. And I feel like silver is such undervalued right now in comparison to what it should be. Typically it's a 10-to-1 ratio with gold and silver. It's typically what it's been in the past. But as you can see here, it's almost 100-to-1 ratio with gold and silver. So if we do see going into the future a rebalancing of that 10-to-1 ratio, gold and silver is going to have you're going to see silver really just skyrocket, right? So we'll see what happens here. And if not, then I think silver is a good thing to hold on to, right? Something that you can break off. It's easier to deal with, right? And so you can work things out per ounce with it, being able to just carry it and do what you need to do down the road if things get absolutely nuts and crazy. So just throwing that out there just for people, just general knowledge. But I'm definitely looking for silver to be kind of coming to this area here. And then really I'm looking at that $14 mark here, $13 mark here. So I had a friend of mine who said to me, there's no way the silver is going to go down to that $14 mark. And I said, but it did. It's not going to go back. This was back here when we were up in this area here. And this was in last year around September, like October, or not October, but like August, September area. And I said, it's probably going to come down here, my friends. I don't see it not happening. So I do think we'll see it come back down to the 14 area. But let's check out again what we were talking about with the world and crypto with China system. So if we see a major recession kick into the U.S. government or the U.S. economy, and if the Fed keeps pulling out liquidity, okay, like what they're doing, we're no longer doing quantitative easing. We're doing quantitative tightening now, right? Like where they're literally pulling money out of the system and not putting in for easy trade to go back and forth. On top of that, they're raising up interest rates, right, in hopes to curb, this is important to understand, or at least for me, right, inflation. But what is inflation from? Inflation's from literally crude oil, because many of the things that we use, like plastics and other stuff, uses crude oil, uses oil, right? And so that's what you're paying for, right? It's really what it is. So there's a lot of things going on, especially like 2 years ago when we saw crude oil literally hit, you know, where we saw it. I apologize about that. Boom, I've got somebody really trying to get my attention. There we are. So we see a lot of these things going on in the market. We see a lot of levers being pushed and pulled back and forth. So you need to be paying attention to the broad market in relationship to crypto. Because I do believe that crypto is going to be that linchpin that the world is going to sit there and go, the free world is going to sit there and go, well, America is no longer this. And again, I'm not saying this is going to happen overnight, right? But if we keep going the way we are going, and the Fed keeps doing what they're doing, right? And we're headed in a trajectory that it's pretty straight. Like, and here's the thing: the stuff that I know, right? There are a lot. I want to call myself a genius or even any remotely like that. But if I can see it, right, I'm able to see certain things, and I know a lot of the other smarter people are seeing it as well. It's almost like it's pretty clear. So I think for the free world, and this is not even a conspiracy theory as well. I mean, it used to be, no longer is. With Davos, right? That you will have nothing and be happy, right? The Great Reset. They're still pushing that. That is still being pushed, and so I think crypto will be something that will be an alternative with that. And that we're going to see that really kind of step in and change the paradigm. I believe there will be people who will be like, I don't want to have to deal with the stress of, capitalism. And so they'll pull and they'll do their own thing, right? And then you'll have these people over here that, 10, 15, 20 years from now, when I'm in my 60s, right? Like where I will have free trade with crypto. And so you're going to definitely see a huge push for crypto during these time periods and moving things, right? So it's going to be really interesting to see as time progresses. I know that was a lot. I apologize. Let me go ahead and go over a couple more news events here. So CoinDesk also talks about here, it's about 2 minutes ago, the markets for risk assessment bouncing back strongly after last week's central bank scare. Does the Federal Reserve have any credibility left? I say yes, it does. Listen, it's still the central bank. Like people forget, like Mike Tyson, he may be old, right? But Mike Tyson still got that hook. I'm not going to talk trash, and he still's got power, right? The central bank very much has power. They very much have things that they can change, with their fiscal policies and being able to, raise rates and lower rates. And then we saw during COVID, they created a few more tools that they can use, right? I think it was George Gammon. I watch him. I mean, I watch everybody, George Gammon. I love watching CNN sometimes or CNBC. Some of my guys are going to be like, what? Oh, get away from me. But listen, it's good to understand the major narrative being played overall. Oh, give me 1 second here real quick. Can you please confirm the night before? I got it, my bad. All right, guys, I apologize about that. So, and also want to throw this out. Next week, I'm also going to be going to Florida. I'm going to be checking out some things that I find really interesting, making some connections for crypto down in Florida. Definitely going to be going to some stuff in Florida or in Orlando, going to other places in Miami. A lot of good stuff going on right now in Florida for crypto. So I'm definitely going to go make some connections, and I'm meeting up with other devs to be checking out other things that I want to be looking at. So I'm just giving you a heads up. So I might be hit and miss. Brinks will probably come on as well as Mike in my stead, and they'll be probably talking more about the fundamentals. And we all know Brinks. He does a great job at looking at. Sounds good. Got it. I apologize, guys. Got it. So jumping back into what we were saying, so we're in some really interesting areas. It's just really interesting where we're sitting at and what's going on in the market as a whole. I personally think that as we keep progressing and as the market keeps moving forward, crypto is we're definitely going to see security coming, right? Like there is too much money. There's billionaires, multi-billionaires that make money off of crypto that can't allow there to be security risks that we've had in the past. And so it's going to be really interesting to sit there and see them step in and really start making changes. And those are going to be the guys that we're going to see step in. So yeah, it's real cool. And so let's jump back into the charts here, as we were going to say. I know I just gave you guys a lot there. Let's check out here. Oh, we've got our friend, Mr. Brinks. Good afternoon, Mr. Brinks.
Hey, Pedro, how's it going?
I mean, it is a beautiful day. I can't complain. Where I'm at, there's a slight little breeze. I'm staring at a serene, nice little trees and stuff. So it's a picturesque side where I'm at. What's going on with you, my friend?
Not too much. Just hanging out. That's about it.
I feel you. Hey, man, you guys just had the did you guys have a launch or something like that?
Yeah. Skylabs launched yesterday. Their pre-sale sold out 1,800 BNB in like 10 seconds after I opened up to the second whitelist.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
So technically about 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, that's good. That's actually really, especially in a bear market.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. They were getting DDoS attacked hard, but by the shitcoin industry because they're scared of what's to come.
Mm-hmm. Hey, please, what is DDoS?
What was that?
What is DDoS?
I don't fully know the full whatever it is, but it's pretty much just from how I understand it. It's somebody. It's when like a hacker hacks into a bunch of computers, and they pretty much send all those computers to just constantly be refreshing the page. And if they get a strong enough network of bots to be doing that, it slows down the server because the server can't really take care of itself, like because it just gets overwhelmed with too many requests to load the page.
Right, I understand.
So like during the pre-sale, they were getting hit hard by it. So that they actually used it as a learning experience to a degree to teach people how to send funds directly to the pre-sale address. So that you don't even have to but like when you go on Pink Sale,
yep.
and you connect your wallet and then you type in the amount of BNB you want to buy, and then you click claim, then approve the transaction.
Yeah.
So there's other ways to do it. Where they there's other ways to do it, but where like you never want to send it to the contract address. You always want to send it to the pre-sale address because that's a smart cut contract that just makes sure you're whitelisted and if when the pre-sale fills, it'll just cancel any transactions after the pre-sale's filled, or if you're just not whitelisted.
I don't know that. I didn't know you could actually do that. That's actually really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that they had to do that. They had to pretty much do it that way. And it was actually a good learning experience for people because they learned a new way to participate in a pre-sale so that you don't have to actually connect your wallet. You're just sending the funds to the.
You're gonna have to show me how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, because that's something that that's real interesting. It's interesting also that the fact is that the BSC scammers were really attacking you guys, which I find very interesting, right? Like, so BSC is Binance's what? How would you describe it? What is the as you said, the shitcoin, and elaborate a little bit on the shitcoin industry so that people can understand that for our audience.
Yeah. So the shitcoin industry is pretty much. I don't want to say all scam projects, but the bulk of them are scams or pump and dumps. So anything, so like that 90% of projects that are pre-sales, but like in anything that you invest in, especially crypto, it's very volatile. So never invest anything more than you're willing to lose. But consider that investing into pre-sales and the shitcoin industry, like a casino, because but most projects that launch in from pre-sales typically, even if the team doesn't have malicious intent, but if it's an inexperienced team, that they will, the project will just rug itself.
Absolutely.
Because I've seen projects that the team didn't rug, that they just didn't have any utility at the launch, and they just couldn't get people to hold the token, and they relied purely on revenue generated through the buy and sell fees for their marketing and development. And once that dried up, that they had no money to really continue the project, so it just died.
That's huge. I mean, you to actually launch a coin, you need probably about at least $400,000 or $500,000 to do it correctly. I've launched 2 coins with Moonrock, and to do it properly, to get things up and running, get it going, and it's a real thing. Like, you need, on a side note, so for marketing, at least 500,000. I mean, actually, $1 million plus is something that's actually more plausible, where you can sustain a project for that first 3 months, right, to really get your name out there and build and continue a community. That's probably one of the biggest assets that will keep and hold your coin at its value. Like I talked about earlier with Shiba Inu, and what made Shiba Inu what it is today is its community. When it comes to Dogecoin, when it comes to Algorand. Now, granted, Algorand came out with its own blockchain, or Cardano, but all of this is all based off of a community that is a die-hard, ride or die person for that coin. And so I think that when people sit there and say that there is no value to crypto, the biggest value to crypto is its community, right? And so, as you said, and to point out that when a community is not 100% committed to a coin, that coin will most likely rug itself because there people don't keep buying the dip, or people won't. Like, we're having like Moonrock, right? We're in a bear market right now, and right now we're at these low points, and people are buying us. Like 3, 4, 5,000, dollars. Boom, 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 boom. You'll see a push up in the market, and then like it comes back down to whoever. I don't. And it's interesting to sit there and see people are buying at these levels for us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's partly our community, partly, um, us, but the things the devs believe we're creating stuff. So it's so important. Your community is 99%.
Pedro, sorry, that's
So,
a call I was telling you about. I
oh,
gotta get going.
that's all right. Thanks for coming in, buddy. I appreciate it.
No problem. I'll be on tomorrow.
All right, we'll see you. Bye. So, guys, yeah, Brinks works for Vetter. He actually does a lot of the vetting of like smaller launches, coin launches. So he's an expert in that. It's interesting to be able to sit there and say you're an expert in a newfound market, but he really is. He knows, he's able to see, engage good communities, bad communities, good coins, good leadership. We were talking about leadership earlier with Crypto Pool. And one of the biggest defining things is how good is the leadership? How well do they communicate? How well do they talk? How good are they at by the ability to be able to rally their community? That's a huge selling point when you look at these launches. So anyways, we'll jump right back into this area. Just looking at the 10-year here real quick. We are putting in a lower low here and continuing down. This is another thing that you want to look at, simply because T-bill, your 10-year, 30-year. I mean, sometimes I look at it, but the majority of the time I'm looking at the 10-year bond, simply just watching it, engaging. This is typically an indicator to let you know people liking us or not liking us for the world. If people want to buy us, like for example, China used to be a buyer of our, T-bills as well as our 10-year. They were buying a lot. Now a lot of the world's governments are selling off their positions. So it's really interesting to sit there and see that what's going on. You can see it in the chart. A big huge sell off since 2020. So it's really interesting. So anyways, this is where we sit right now. I'm waiting for this area here for myself to be looking at. Now let's go into Bitcoin here real quick. Bitcoin is looking pretty much the same thing on the monthly. We're hitting that area, like I said. It's going to be real interesting to see how we handle this. My biggest proponent that I don't like is that we don't really have a wick to the bottom. We don't have a seller wick. So I do see us coming in, putting at least a seller wick selling off into this area. We'll see what happens if this does not continue. In addition to that, let's look at the daily. You can sit and see that yesterday we did rally up. We did have some conviction in regards to the volume. This is why I was saying that when the S&P 500 was turning around and starting to go down, we saw Bitcoin start to rally up. So that is another thing to be paying attention to, right? Where is the are we in correlation with really what's going on, or are we starting to diverge and become non-correlated for crypto? And the one that we follow is really Bitcoin. Let's check out Ethereum here real quick. Ethereum, again, I want to point out that we don't have a seller wick here. So I do see it's coming up, hitting these junctional turn points that I have right here, and then seeing it turn around. We do have on Ethereum that 8-period moving average sitting right here in relationship with the junctional points of the 50 and 8-period moving averages. As you guys can see that we tapped the 50 and now selling off down into, and I think I'm pretty positive we're going to see it come back down into this area of the 1330 area, which is I was trying to get you guys to check out. So we'll see what happens. Let's check out BNB here. BNB, like I said, is a bit of the maverick. They are holding stronger, but again, they did hit that 8-period moving average, and we are seeing it sell off here. So be mindful of that, guys. My target area here is for the 234 area to come down into this area and see what happens here. Let's check out ADA here real quick. ADA is showing a little bit of strength in regards to the market. They are holding this area here, which is, I was kind of shocked. So they are bouncing and moving up off our demand zone here. So if they close it with a doji, which is something that kind of looks like this, or something that looks like this right here, which is this candle here, at this level here, I would assume that they're going to go up at least up to here and test that 50-cent mark. Okay, guys, so be mindful of that. Understand what we're seeing here. If it does come back down and hit this, be ready for maybe even a turnaround. We do have that 8 moving average sitting at the 50-cent mark, so be mindful. But again, they did have a smaller wick. I mean, at least a better wick than what we saw on Bitcoin. So be mindful of that, guys. Here we go. Let's go to AMP. Excuse me. I apologize. Just had a coffee here real quick. I don't want to cough in your guys' ears. So, and one moment. Here we are. There they are. Here we go. All right, guys. So the next one that we're going to go into is XRP. Let's check out XRP here real quick. XR. I hate it when I do that. You can see here that we are hitting that 8-period moving average, and we are selling off down into our demand zone here that we were talking about. Be ready to follow it down to the 29.28 mark. Just to help you guys out here. Let's go into even the 4-hour here real quick. Yeah, be ready for it to even sell off even further. Like I said here, I wanted to check out the 4-hour and see how we're respecting the 8 or 20. So you guys can see here that this is it's pretty weak here as we're seeing volume step up in the seller market as we keep putting down. So it's another one here. Let's check out Solana. Sol, there we go. Boom. So Sol is in this area here. Oh, fell right through our area, guys. Nice. Not nice, but like I said, be ready for the short. It did definitely go down. We had a little bit of a bounce. Now we're bouncing off of that 8. Let's go ahead. Let's check this out here real quick. All right, guys. So we're going to see where we might come back and retrace to. So if we do, nope. So definitely this area, I definitely could see us maybe coming back. If we do start to rally back up, be paying attention to this area. This was once a previous demand area. You can see where we came in and then we sold off through it. So be ready for that type of move here. Let's go ahead. But really, like I said, I'm really looking for the $17 and $10 mark area here, guys, as we start to see the market sell off here. As we go to the next one, let's go into Doge. Okay, so Doge here, we didn't even come up and touch that 8 moving average yesterday. So that is definitely a very bearish symbol for me, because we couldn't even come up and touch it. And so we're selling off. We did get above the high of yesterday, but it was immediately rejected and they had a sell off. So it's an indication of definitely a bearish indicator. So definitely I would look to see it come down into this 5 cent, the 5.8, 5.7 area. I do see it's kind of moving down. Now let's go ahead and check out Matic here real quick. So Matic, we came up, tried to touch the weekly 8-period moving average. We had a bit of a sell-off here. If we continue this, guys, look forward to it coming down into the 70, 67 cent area here as we continue down into this levels. Let's check out SHIB here. This is nice. This is a good little example of what we're talking about. So this did hit our 8-period moving average. Now we are coming back down into this level. We'll see if this level holds. Now it's important to understand that we have that 100 and we have that 89 average sitting in between. Now it is not trending up, so it's important to manage that. It's not coming up and trying to touch the bottom of the candle. We see it just kind of steadily just kind of moving sideways there. So I would sit there and just be paying attention to that. If we see a good reaction on the intraday charts, go long with it, right? If we see a big slip and slide down to this area, you want to maybe go long with it and push and catch it all the way back up into this area here. Let's set this here real quick and see if it wants to change. All right, guys, so I know this is an active candle, so it's not necessarily, this could be eaten up today and rally up again, but we'll find out what happens here. But if it does continue down to this level into this week, if not next week, be ready for it to come back up into this level here as a retracement. Let's go ahead real quick and go into Tron, TRX. TRX is pretty much rallied up into our 20-period moving average, would be that weekly 8 here. And then we had a nice little bit of a sell-off into this. So we'll find out what happens. Like I said, this is kind of the line in the sand here. We're tipping at this point, so we'll see if it continues. I do think that Trump will probably come back down into these levels of 4 cent and 3 cent area. Be ready for that if it does come into it. All right, guys. Next one, let's go in. I believe is not Uni, Tron AVAX. Excuse me, I don't want to. Don't want to yawn you guys' ear. So AVAX here, we had a little bit of a bounce off this area. It looks like it is under the control of that 8-period moving average on this daily chart. So I can see at least coming back down, testing this area here. What you want to look for is on the intraday chart is volume on the sell side stepping in, right? Like that's really what you're trying to see, right? We can see here see that there were no real wicks here. So it's going to come back and retrace back down into this area here. We don't again have any wicks riding down into this area, right? So it very much could retrace back down in, at least all the way down into the lower parts of Monday, which is that $17 mark. So be ready to trade that. Now, if it decides to start rallying, it's probably going to find rally point maybe below here to push back up. So something to be paying attention to. Let's go ahead and look at the next one. Leo. Well, this right here is a strong resistance. I mean, that's actually really impressive that you've seen that, man. Whoever is selling off at this level is really selling off strong. So it's going to be able to be very interesting. Now you see here that we do have higher highs. So it came up, hit that level again. Well, came up at this level. We didn't have a lower high. Came back at this level again. And then we had a higher low as well. So higher low, lower high, same or lower high. So it's a consolidation, but you can see that we are having higher lows here. So they're right at this breaking point. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. If you're in Leo here, right, you want to be looking for wicks. You want to be looking for buyer wicks. That's really pushing this. So be paying attention. You want to sit there and see, on that 30-minute volume stepping in. You want to see volume on the hour really be pushing the market up and down. It's important to look at that, because if you don't, what's going to happen is you'll lose the movement of it, right? So you want to, meaning the movement up. So if it's moving up, you're not seeing lower wicks or seeing buyer wicks step in, it will lose its momentum and come back down to where, let's say, there is a bigger wick, either down in this level here or down in this level here for Leo. If it does continue up, I would say, guys, be looking to capture it up at least to the 5-4, 5 or 5 area here, just because it's tested this area enough times now to where it's a strong area, right? Like you can see here that it tested it, but it's been tested now a few times, so I can see it's coming down. Even like I said, that 5-6 area, it's just at least to this area here that we could gauge a run to. And if it decides it wants to turn around, guys, where we're looking to capture again back down to this area here, down into that 4.7 mark area or 470. Let's go into the next one. Pardon me. Uniswap. Uniswap, guys, is real clear. It's definitely bearish. We're bouncing off this 8 moving average. I was hoping that we could see this rally up even further, maybe pierce it and really push through up, but it looks like the price was rejected. It's not pushing out as hard, but it's definitely still pushing down. So we're hitting that 20 period moving average as well on the weekly, and we're hitting that the 8 and 89. So it's definitely holding resistance. This junctional point, turning junctional point, did hold. So we'll find out. If it continues, look forward to capture that short down to the 5.7 mark here, making sure that you have trending SMAs or trending EMAs or a indicator that tells you to go short, whatever one you guys use. But yeah, this is really where I'm looking for it to turn, at least find some type of support before it does continue down to our area of 36, 33, or excuse me, 367 to the 338 area for Uniswap. And I know that's half the value there, but that's just which way the market is screaming how far it wants to go. Let's try out Litecoin here real quick. Litecoin again here is just like I said, it came back, hit up our 8 moving average on that weekly, and we're continuing down. Our area here, 49, 47 area, and then we should have some decent response to this level, just simply because it's a fresh level and it's brand new level. The only concern that I have, and again, it's all about how it gets here, right? If we see it do this, where it's just starting to slowly go down like this, and then it finally hits it, it's most likely going to eat this demand zone while it's going down. And then when we come down, we'll have a small little pop, and then a sell off into it, where then we find a retracement back into as a flip zone to sell off down to the next level of 40. If we see it, if it doesn't do that and we see it just sell off hard into this area, I do see a reaction out of this area to push to go up even, I want to say higher, but at least to its peaks here to capture sellers to then drop it down even further. So be mindful of that, guys. Let's go ahead and go into FTX here. Now, FTX, I heard what they did. Oh my goodness. They had, I think, 100,000 something. Maybe it was a couple million, excuse me. It was like 100 million or something like that of fees that they collected and income that they came and collected. Now they had like $1.1 billion worth of fees and income brought into their ecosystem as well. So I just, impressive, FTX. Impressive. Let's check it out here real quick, FTX. Where are you at, I do not have it that I did. FTX. Let's check it out here real quick. I understand why this isn't pulling up, but on to the next one. Somebody asked me to look at FTX, and so that's why I put that in today. Link. All right, guys. So Link, as we can see right here, guys, is definitely hit that 8-period moving average. Now we're seeing it sell off and continue down into next week. Our price prediction is that 456 area to the 441 area. Just be, like I said, I've seen all of these have already been hit. All these demand zones have already been tested. So I see weakness all through here until we get down into these fresh levels here. So we'll find out what happens. But I would definitely be looking to play off that 8-period moving average simply because we are following, as you can see. So be looking to get into it around these levels, because we'll definitely come back and try to retest the 8-period moving average throughout the descent to 45 or $4.56 area. So next, let's go ahead and check out the Atom. So we can see here and see that this was a weak area here, but it did somewhat respond well to it. We are bouncing off of these. And then this right here, we're definitely ping-ponging off of these areas here. So be mindful, guys. This is always difficult, right? So to gauge which is going to be supported, right? So be mindful of this. We could see a sell-off here. We do have a big seller wick on the previous week, right? So Cosmo is definitely looking stronger into this week, even after this big seller week of last week. And we don't really have any wicks until we get up into this area here on the daily. So we could come back and see a retracement back into the 1323 area, and then another sell-off even lower. The only thing for the bulls here is that we did not put in a lower low, but we put in a higher low with a higher high. So that is something that is moving. But again, if Bitcoin does sell off, I don't see Cosmos holding. I see it coming down to these levels here. So let's go ahead and go to the next one, Crow. So Crow, again, is looking a bit weak. But I think they've got a lot of good things going from a financial level or from a fundamental level. So you can see here that they're putting a big seller wick. It is bouncing off of that 8-period moving average on the weekly as well as the daily. You can see it is bouncing off of that 8 moving average as well. So be looking for that 8-cent mark here with Crow. Excuse me, not 8 cent. I apologize. It was funny. I called Ethereum at 15,000 this morning, and with Crypto Bull, he was all, dude, whoa. So if I do that, please point that out to me, saying, hey, you called out a different one that you shouldn't have. So yeah, but let's go ahead and look at this area here of the 11-10 cent mark for Crow. I do see that happening, and I do see us hitting also the 10 cent to 9 cent area as well. So be ready for that. There we go. Next thing. Crow, let's check out XLM. XLM, I am waiting for it to come back down to these levels here of the 7 cent mark. I think we talked about these a few weeks ago when it was up at this level here, 12, and then we had the big sell-off and then came back up. We brought it up again at the 11 cent. So like I said, there isn't anything sitting at these levels until we get down into the 7 cent area for XLM. So when you're trading this, guys, make sure that you pay attention. You can see here that we're trading off of that daily 8 moving average. So pay attention to that, or whatever average that you use, or whatever indicator. Pay attention to the pullback so that you can get in at a very low risk area. It's just so important to do. You know, waiting is a virtue, and it makes you money in the market. Or you can capture it moving up, but I don't see this area here holding. I see us coming through this for XLM. Next, we're going to go to Insta Algorand. Give me 1 second. Go to Algo. Oh, I thought I had Algorand on this. That's weird. Let's put them on here. Let's check it out. Let's check an Algorand here real quick, guys, so you can see here and see that it's, this is the first one you're looking at this. Let's pull this up. Let's look at this on the weekly. This is a weekly chart. Nice. Okay, perfect. That is a weekly chart. That is a weekly. And we'll check out that daily here. Now, obviously, we're encompassing that whole entire region here, right? So I would almost, I'm going to put 2 zones here, guys. One zone right here, which is going to be the daily. And then another one for the weekly. So I do see Algorand coming down into that 23.89 to that 22.25 area, guys. And then the next one I would gauge. All right. Let's check this out. Weekly and monthly. Yeah, that's not gonna work. This is really where I'm looking at right here. Let's check this out right here. Let's actually I'm more interested in this area right here, actually. Let's check this out. On the weekly. Yeah, this is more where I'm definitely interested more in this area here. This is really where I think price is going to go for Algorand. This area here is more where I think it wants to come at this lower level here. So definitely be looking into that lower level, which is going to be the 19-cent area to that 17-cent area. I know it's in at that 28, but there's nothing else holding it. There's just nothing except for this. There's nothing else holding it until we get down to this area here, that 19, 15-cent area. It's just important. Make sure you're paying attention to that. All right, guys. And we'll see what happens there. I think the next spot we can honestly see is the lows. Literally the lows. It's the honest. I look at that. It's really. Yeah. It's just it. It is. Yeah. These are my areas, guys. Let's check out the supply here real quick on the monthly. And the next portion is right here. Yeah, and so this is my next area right here. I know that's a large area, but it's just definitely more. And we have that 20 period moving average sitting right here on the monthly. And that 8, so that 8 is also in the. So we need to, I apologize. Let me make that a red one. There we are. So these are some areas I'm definitely looking at. We can see a retracement back into this area. Let's check the weekly. Probably more up in this area here, and up in this area here. It's here. It's really where I'm looking at. Check out that daily zone. See if it still populates. Nope. Yeah, but I mean these are just junctional areas that we want to be paying attention to. So you can see here a lot of times price will come back and retrace back into these areas before it sells off. So and before it makes the next leg down. That's why I always tell you guys, if it pushes through, wait for that retracement. So it basically kind of looks like this. That's why I'm always telling you guys, wait for the retracement. It sells off. Then it'll come back and hit the retracement right into the area of the wick and then sell off even further. Right? So that's why I'm looking at this going, it could come back, hit this area, come back, hit areas of buying, then come back, retrace, and then put back a new leg down. So those things are important to look at. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. Actually, let me put it on weekly real quick. And then we get that 8 here. I always put the different purple ones. All right, let me go ahead and pull this up here. So, yeah, this is where I would look. If it is going to retrace, I would say it probably retrace that weekly 8-period moving average and then sell back off into our lower areas here. All righty, next, let's go ahead and go into this area. I can see it coming back into this area here, retracing up in this area. Next one, so we're gonna go. Let's go to checkout vet. Some of these new ones that I'm looking at, these are just ones that other people have asked me to look at. That's what I thought. Oh, there you go. All right, so we definitely hit this area here, shot right through big time. So put in a higher high here. Based off when I was looking at this, it's be interesting to see if I called it back in this area here where it sold off and then pushed through. Let's check out that weekly and that monthly here real quick. Where is my moving averages? Boom. So it was in July that I was looking at this. July, August, September is when I placed this in. I'm just curious to see when I was looking at this. So July. So it was in this area. So we definitely hit this area here and then we pushed through. So, okay, I think I remember going over this where we hit this and then sold off. So we'll see if it continues. And I'm just looking to see so it hit that 20-period moving average, which then caused it to sell off. So it's definitely, it likes the 20-period moving average. Let's go ahead. That's 100, that's it. So it's 200-period moving average just came on 10 fat on the weekly. So 2 year. So we're at that 4-year mark here with VET. I'll be looking at this here real quick. VET coming back down. It's going to blow through this. I don't see it holding. I see it's coming back down, and then after this, yeah, I still stay strong on these levels here. These are the areas that I would definitely say it's going to come back down to. Definitely, I don't see us holding here for a fact. If the market drops, if the S&P 500 as well as Bitcoin keeps dropping, we're coming down to these 13 or the 12, 11 area, and then after that, that 9, 8 area as well. I know we're sitting at the 30, or I know we were just sitting at the 30 or 3 cent area here, but coming down to this 2 cent and then 1 cent. That's what I see. Next, let's go ahead and pull up. There we go. VET. Let's go to APT. Add that here. I don't even look at these guys. APT. These are just some of the ones that people have asked me to look at. APT. Apricot Finance. Let's check them out. Let's look them up. APT. So you can tell by my response. I don't see good things with them, unfortunately. They are not looking super hot at all right now. But we'll see what happens. Let's see with them. There's no volume, nothing but sells. Yeah, not good. I don't see good. And where are they at as a market cap? How far? I mean, they have decent volume coming in, though. I mean, where they're in the millions of volume being traded. So that's another. That's a good sign. I mean, people are selling off. There's money coming into the actual ecosystem. This APT finance. I wonder where their market rank is. Maybe they buy. Market cap data. If anybody also has any information on APT, that would be great. I really don't know. From a charting perspective, guys, yeah, it's not good. I can't. There's not enough data to say how far it's going to go down. I mean, it's in a free fall. So I can sit there and throw the fibs, but even the fibs, when you're at this point, it's kind of hard to gauge which way it's going to go. So it could continue down, or it could at least find some type of support here. But in the previous days, we've seen nothing but red days coming down. So people are definitely getting rid of this. I don't know. I would say don't, or at least wait till you see a few green days, where you see some type of thing, or their Telegram talks about new developments or something like that. But as of right now, the APT is not looking too hot on my book. But check out next one. Actually, we'll do Mana Sands here in a second. But so these guys, as we all know, had the big issues last few months, right? But I'm just so shocked to see how many people bought this. It's gonna be really interesting to see what happens with Celsius, and are they going to? I know that they're in talks of bankruptcy and reestablishing everything, kind of going to do what they're going to do. I just wonder, are they going? It's like these are still. I actually just might throw in some money down in this area here once it gets down to these low levels. I mean, $100, $200 wouldn't be bad. And I mean, if I got a 10x, I mean, whoever bought in these low levels here, you know, down in the 25 cent, I mean, you got you got a 10x. You know, shoot, you got almost you almost had a 20xer. So that's just, like you never know. Like I said earlier, it's the community that holds it strong. It's the community, right? So if the community is still behind with Celsius and they're still diehard Celsius fan, you very much could see another rally behind them and see the coin push up even higher. So it's real interesting to see what happens. It did put in a higher high and looking like we're putting in a lower low. So Celsius, it's still some life in you. I think it's interesting. It's real interesting. Oh, now that I look at the daily. The daily, man. Shoot, look at the daily, right? Look at that daily. We bounce off that 8-period moving average. It's starting to come down, and it's that 20-period moving average as well on that weekly. We'll find out what happens. I might just throw some gamble money in this area here on Celsius just to see what happens. I'll probably throw a little bit, like $100 here, and if it continues down, maybe down in these areas here. We'll find out. Yeah, so there we go. Next, let's check out Mana and Sands, and then we will call it a day. Mana, here we are. Mana, 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 Mana. So you can see here, guys, I really hit the buyer area here. You can sit there and see that I'm looking at this. This is a monthly chart here. Yeah, so you can sit there and see we're definitely coming back into this area down, and maybe be looking to capture it at this 51.37. Let's go to the weekly chart here. Weekly chart, we definitely are seeing we're bouncing off that 8 and 20 period moving average on that weekly. And we are definitely putting in, let's put in a target if we do decide to start pushing up. So you can sit here and see this area definitely. I could see it hitting this 20 and coming back down as well, but I'm not going to put up a supply zone because I don't see a good supply zone. So the dynamic movement of the 20 period moving average would act as a supply zone for me, or dynamic supply zone. So, but down in this area, the 51, which it'd be almost 50% drop upward sitting at right now to be looking. So I do see that as we continue moving down. What's interesting is yesterday, right? We had a movement up with Bitcoin, and you can see we also had that. So I think that I find that interesting, but not with hardly any volume. It's pretty much the same volume as the previous day on a weekend, right? So that should tell you more or less what is actually going on with Mana. Let's check out. What I mean by that is, if the rest of the market is rallying and all you see is volume coming in on a weekend versus on a weekday, you'd want to see more volume on an uptrend. So that explains it more to me. But it's kind of weak until we come back down into these areas here. Let's check out Sands. Let's put this in here real quick. Sorry about that. My window's open. Let's go ahead and pull this up here. So Sands, I see. I put down here. Let me just recheck this. Yeah. Yeah. This is really where I'm looking at to see if the market's going to come back. Yeah. I'm looking at the monthly. So this is a daily zone here. Yeah, this also is looking like it's going to come back down into this area of the 1100 for Sands. So yeah, there we go, guys. That's it for the day. Be looking if we do retrace. You can see here, the guys, that we are bouncing off of that again period moving average, which is what we're seeing with Bitcoin and a lot of the other major coins. So it's an indicator, that we can use to play off of. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell, guys. Thanks for coming and joining today. I know that Crypto Bull will be here next or tomorrow. We'll go over more news, more stuff that's going on. I know I kind of went into the charting up with the world chart and kind of explain some of my own views in regards to like a fundamental analysis, crypto adoption system, or just how I'm thinking the world is happening. So just throwing this out to you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. You guys have a blessed day. Thank you so much for coming in. If you guys have any questions or concerns, reach out to me. You guys can find me on the Moonrock Telegram chat. I'm going to again put it in here so you guys can reach out to me at any period of time. 1 second. There we go. There you guys go. So you guys can find me here. It's one of those things you can always get a hold of me. Just hit me up privately, or even just come into the chat and just say, hey, I saw you guys. I saw your stuff at Moonrock, or I saw you on the show, and I want to just kind of reach out to you and ask you questions, and or privately message me, ask me to look at your coins. I have people who always ask me to look at coins and stuff like that as well. All right, guys, have a blessed day, and I will talk to you guys soon.